Who has been the biggest surprise in the NFL so far?
The biggest surprise in the NFL so far this season has to ultimately be the Philadelphia Eagles. This team had the 8th pick in the first round last season, and is definitely now poised to make a Super Bowl run. They now currently sit at 5-1 in the standings in the NFC. And Carson Wentz currently has 13 touchdowns. Last season he had a grand total of 16. Currently he has 3 interceptions. Last season he had a grand total of 14. And he currently sits at a passer rating of 99.6. This guy was just the 2nd quarterback pick in his draft, not a season ago. Now he's definitely playing, and it looks poised to become a superstar quarterback in this league. And with that said, the defense is definitely doing what needs to be done to win football games. I see former volunteer Derek Barnett rapidly increasing his play over the course of this season, or what is left to play. He currently stands with 7 tackles in 5 games. And with that said, I really see that the Philadelphia Eagles defense really puts the clamps on the opposing team's offenses. And with that said, they have a definite great chance of making a deep playoff push, seeing that no one really expected this from them to begin the season.
All right, Corey?
Nick Stokes, you know how much I love you, but Lord, do I disagree with you on this one.
Okay.
My biggest surprise of the NFL season so far is going to be Alex Smith and the Kansas City Chiefs, and I'm going to tell you why. You brought up Carson Wentz's statistics. Let me tell you something about Alex Smith.
All right.
Alex Smith, the classic game manager, career 62% completion rate. This year, he is throwing at a career high and league high 73% completion rate, 1,637 yards, 12 touchdowns. He only had 15 last season, 0 interceptions to 8 last year. He's averaging a career high 8.5 yards per attempt, and he's got a quarterback rating of 119.2, which is also the highest in the NFL. Kareem Hunt, we'll get into him real quick. 106 yards,
seconds.
106 carries for a league high 630 yards. And after losing Eric Berry, best safety in football, the defense is still winning games.
All right.
Okay. So I get the rebuttal now?
You get the rebuttal.
All right. With that said, I have to go say that, I mean, I agree with your argument. The Chiefs are playing stellar football at the moment. However, the question is, who was the biggest surprise? And I feel as if the Eagles are more surprising than the Chiefs, simply because Alex Smith's play was to be expected, or at least this is the way he should be playing after all these seasons, since he is a veteran in the NFL now. That's what he should be doing. As far as Carson Wentz, he's young. He hasn't really proven himself to be that guy, what he is now. He's definitely calling or stepping up to the plate. He's going to make those passes or the plays needed to make sure that the Eagles' offense is efficient. And that definitely has caught me off guard more than the Kansas City Chiefs' efforts this season.
There's no way that Kansas City hasn't caught me off guard. Yes. Alex Smith, for his entire career, has barely thrown for above 4,000 passing yards. We've all seen him. He's not that great. And this year, he's a bona fide MVP candidate. Kareem Hunt, rookie. No one expected this to come out of him. Defense, you lose Eric Berry, and you're still finding ways to win games. Kansas City, there's no way anyone saw this coming. I get the Eagles. I get Carson Wentz. You got a good young quarterback. But look, you got Alshon Jeffrey on the outside. You got Torrey Smith stretching the defense. The Chiefs, I did not see this. Remember, they didn't have a touchdown by a receiver all last season, did they? I mean, Alex Smith, I did not see this coming. He's a veteran. We've not seen this so far. All of a sudden, he starts kicking it in now. I can't see any other bigger surprise than that.
Okay, if you say so. Who you think is the more big of a surprise?
I mean, this is really tough. Those are both 2 very good points. The 2 teams with the best 2 records in football. But I am going to have to go with Nick on this one, because
I told you.
The Chiefs were a playoff team last year. I believe they went 12-4. The Eagles, as Nick said, were not very good at a high draft pick. Based on that alone, because both teams have been about as good. Honestly, I think the Chiefs have been a little bit better, but the Chiefs were a lot better last year. So I'm going to go ahead and say 1-0 Nick.
Thank you.
Question 2, who has been biggest disappointment?
Biggest disappointment easily has to be the Oakland Raiders, in my opinion. The Oakland Raiders last season definitely was poised for greatness. Looking like they had a 12-4 record to complete the regular season last season. Before Derek Carr ended up getting hurt, everyone believed that they had that year's MVP, as well as a guy that could really lead their offense to the Super Bowl. He ended up getting hurt they gave him a big contract. Once he signed his contract, he was briefly named the highest paying quarterback in the NFL. And now this year, he has once again gotten hurt. And they've also brought Marshawn Lynch out of retirement. However, they aren't effectively using that guy and his abilities to actually become a beast when it comes to getting the ball in the backfield and taking it through the line of scrimmage or even on the outside, bouncing on the outside. He only had 13 rushes this past game, and I literally was watching his footwork. And during that game, it looked like he was doing like ladder drills in the middle of the game with how quick he was on his feet. I really believe that the Raiders has to do something to increase their chances of making the playoffs, and this is definitely by far the worst showing in the NFL by a team that was poised to be better.
Okay.
I think I can top you on that, Nick Stokes, and I'm going to go with the Baltimore Ravens. The Baltimore Ravens, in my opinion, have been the biggest disappointment so far this NFL season. We're talking about a team that through the first 2 weeks had 10 takeaways, 5 turnovers in each game. We're talking about a defense that was poised to be the best in the NFL. We're talking about an offense that was poised to be improved from last season where they struggled a lot. But Joe Flacco has turned back into Joe Fluco right before our eyes. And I'll just go over it. 63% completion rate, 1,003 yards. This guy's got 4 touchdowns to 8 interceptions. That's been comically bad. Career low, 5.4 yards per attempt, 66.1 passer rating, a QBR of 30.6, which ranks 29th in the NFL. That's, And then you have on defense, they give up a franchise record 231 rushing yards to Chicago. Chicago? Come on. They don't allow 100-yard rushers. The Ravens have prided themselves on that for years. They've got Le'Veon Bell, who just carried the ball for 35 and 144. And case in point, Eric Weddle, chance to save the game with a game-winning tackle, goes for the strip and said, Jordan Howard down the field for a game-winning field goal.
Okay, all right. I definitely wouldn't say the Ravens are more of a disappointment. I would definitely give it to the Raiders simply because the Ravens, Joe Flacco, you said it for yourself. It's Joe Fluco. We know Joe Flacco to be one of the more inconsistent veteran quarterbacks in the NFL alongside Alex Smith. However, he's doing better this season. And with that said, I'm not surprised to see the Ravens play the way that they've been playing this season. I guess it's cool that their defense has been on top in the past. However, they don't have Ray Lewis no more, man. It's not the same team. Eric Weddle, as you just said, may not have been the most aggressive in their play as he should have that past game this past weekend. However, I'm not surprised from their play at all.
10 seconds.
At all. Go
Okay.
ahead.
That works too.
I don't need those 10 seconds.
You
Go
bring
ahead.
up Ray Lewis. They got C.J. Mosley to replace him. Now, he's not a Ray Lewis, but he is a man-child when it comes to being on that defensive core. But you got to talk about the Raiders. Derek Carr, you can't really help him being hurt. If he had not been injured, they probably would have beaten the Ravens. They probably would have a better record than they are right now. But you're talking about Joe Flacco, the same guy who threw 11 touchdowns to no interceptions on one of the more memorable Super Bowl runs that we've ever seen. You talk about a defense. Eric Weddle was the top-ranked safety last year, and he makes a play like that. Tony Jefferson was one of the top-ranked safeties last year. They're getting carved up on the ground. That's not something you see from the Ravens. I know the Raiders were poised to go deep, but the Ravens were poised to be a playoff team this year, and they just have not lived up to those expectations, and John Harbaugh is officially on the hot seat.
All right. Another very good argument from both sides. I think I'm going to have to give this one to Corey. First of all, I love how many Ravens players you can name on defense. And you're right, they have been really disappointing. Guys like C.J. Mosley not producing as much as he has, and Flacco has truly been terrible. I think we're knotted up at 1-1. Corey, you did just win this last point, so why don't you start us off here? Who will win the AFC?
I'm going to go with the typical answer. Everyone will probably expect this. The New England Patriots are going to represent the AFC in this year's Super Bowl once again. Yeah, I know they have not been as great as they were last year so far, but you still have Tom Brady, 66% completions, 1,959 yards, 13 TDs, 2 picks, 74.3 QBR, still top 3 quarterback ever. And Gronkowski, 26 receptions, 401 yards from 4 touchdowns. I know injuries play a part. I know injuries when it comes to the Patriots play a part, and their defense is not the greatest. But when you have a guy like Tom Brady who can prove that he can come back 28-3 in a Super Bowl, who proves that he's won 5 rings already, I'll take that over anybody in the AFC right now. I can't make another argument.
Okay, well, in that case, I'm going to go with your most surprising team this season. I'm going to go with the Chiefs. Since you say Alex Smith has been so consistent this season, which he has.
Yeah.
I'm very happy to see him play the way he's been playing this season. I would definitely pick the Chiefs because I don't see the Chiefs really stopping anytime soon. Yes, they did lose this past weekend. Pittsburgh, the Steelers, they outplayed them this past weekend, yes. But the Chiefs have definitely crept up on a lot of teams, and the Patriots aren't playing or living up to their expectations, if we're being quite honest. Their defense is not nowhere near consistent enough to automatically put them as a lock for the top seed or the top spot in the AFC. And I believe that the Chiefs have the firepower on the offense with Kareem Hunt having 885 total yards since the first game of the season.
Okay.
I feel as
I
if they
gotta cut
have
you off.
enough to. All right, go ahead.
Corey?
We need to remind our viewing public the last time that the Kansas City Chiefs were in the playoffs, the last 2 times they both lost in the first round. Now, I get what you're saying. Alex Smith has been great this season. The Kansas City has a good defense. They have been consistent. But when you have Tom Brady, in my opinion, the second greatest quarterback ever, some people would disagree. But when you have a resume like that, when you have Bill Belichick coaching, when you have, it's just, I can't make any argument for anyone other than this guy at this moment. I get the Chiefs have been great. Alex Smith has been great, but I just don't trust him when it comes postseason time. He has not proven that to me yet. He didn't prove that to me in San Francisco, and he hasn't proven that to me in Kansas City, and I just can't take him right now.
Okay, I'll give you that. However, I feel as if the Patriots, like I said, are not a lock for the top spot or to come out of the AFC and make the Super Bowl. Their defense, the lack of consistency on that side of the ball is definitely ruining their chances to be seriously taking be a serious competitor or contender for the Super Bowl this season. I just don't see it. Madden cursed Tom Brady. He really should have never lost those
Didn't
first 2
Megatron
games.
break that?
No, well, I mean, he ended up retiring. Like, who expected Megatron to retire? However, but with that said, I don't
10
see
seconds.
Tom Brady actually withstanding this Madden curse that he's going through, and he has to actually rely on his defense in order to win the
He's been
championship
pretty great
this
this year.
season. So,
All right, so another tough argument. The Chiefs' defense has been very good. The Patriots' defense has been very bad this season. But I got to go with Corey once again. I do think that your argument for the Patriots was very sound. The playoff experience that they have is important. And the Chiefs have been flaming out of the playoffs early last couple seasons. So you got the 2-1 lead. Question 4 is who will win the NFC?
Now, this is going to be a controversial pick, and I know a lot of people won't agree with me on this one, but I'm going to go with the Atlanta Falcons to return to the Super Bowl. I'm going with the rematch. The Falcons, like I said, I have not seen, I get the Eagles, but I do not trust their youth and experience. Matt Ryan, 66% completions, 1357, 6 TDs, 6 picks, not the greatest statistics you'd ever have, but you still have Julio Jones, you still have Devontae Freeman. Defense isn't terrible. It's not great, but it's not in that upper echelon, but it's not terrible. And my main argument is I don't think this team's gotten going. You put up 17 points against Miami. I get it. You lose. It's disappointing. The fans are all disappointed. But this team still got Matt Ryan, still got Julio Jones, who in my opinion is 1A, 1B with Antonio Brown for the best receiver in the NFL. He hasn't gotten going yet. Devontae Freeman, 79 carries, 353 yards. He hasn't going yet. I'll take seasoned veterans over rookies and sophomore players any day. Sorry.
okay. Atlanta Falcons, the team that definitely blew a 28-3 lead in the Super Bowl this past season, and will not be returning to the Super Bowl this season. With that said, I see the Super Bowl coming out of the NFC, the Carolina Panthers. That may shock a lot of people. However, hear me out. This team has definitely been overlooked ever since their loss in the Super Bowl, Super Bowl 50 to be exact, against the Denver Broncos. This season, I've seen great play from their defense, consistent play. They're finally reformatting or reformatting their defense after the departure of Josh Norman 2 seasons ago. With that said, they finally look consistent on defense. They have some young cornerbacks that have had experience last season playing against the top threats in the route running game or in the pass game. And now, of course, their front seven is definitely going to always be a lock with Luke Kuechly in the back and Thomas Davis. And this year, Cam Newton is doing a great job. Yes, he had 3 interceptions this past weekend against the Eagles this past Thursday night football game. However, but he threw the ball 52 times. I see Mike Shula. He has to make some type of adjustment to make sure that Cam Newton is making more plays with the run rather than throwing the ball 52 times, because that's not his game.
Okay.
Let Cam Newton continue to do what he does, and the Panthers will be in the Super Bowl.
All right, Corey?
Cam Newton's was great. I love him. He's probably the best mobile quarterback in the NFL right now. He's 6'6", he's a monster. This guy can do it all. But do you trust him on the biggest stage? That is the question. Cam Newton has shown it in the last Super Bowl. I hate to say it, he looked nervous to me. He looked jittery. It's just that Matt Ryan's the same way, but I just trust the Atlanta Falcons more than I do the Panthers. I trust their offense. I trust Julio Jones. I trust Devontae Freeman. I trust Cam Newton enough, but I don't trust him enough to make it back to the Super Bowl this year.
I mean, if we're talking about trust, both teams literally got to the Super Bowl and failed at the end of the day. So regardless, Matt Ryan didn't come through, nor did Cam Newton come through when they had the opportunity to. This year, they have the chance to really prove themselves or use the experience that they've gained in these past seasons and with their experience in the Super Bowl to really revitalize themselves for a serious playoff push. Now, I don't see the Falcons coming back the next season and going right back to the Super Bowl, especially after they just lost to the Miami Dolphins. The Miami Dolphins.
That's one game.
The Miami Dolphins, though? I mean, okay, all right. But with that said, I just believe that Cam Newton, yes, he was jittery. He was his first Super Bowl game. He had a lot of pressure on him from the media and fans themselves. With that said, he now has the experience, knows what it takes, knows where it's been, what the game takes, or how it's going to go if he does have the opportunity to go back to the Super Bowl. And I believe that if he does, he would definitely capitalize on his chances.
All right, so we got some good points on both sides of the table. Two NFC South teams that have been really good so far this season. The Falcons did blow a 17-0 lead to the Miami Dolphins, but I do think I will have to give the point to Corey Sanning and give him bragging rights for the day, just because Corey provided so many good stats that gave him a really strong case.
I just knew I had that one, though, Jacob.
Like I said, man, you make a good pick, you make a great argument, but I just don't trust Cam Newton. Don't trust his arm. That's the only thing I don't trust about Cam.
That's all the time we have for today here on Bragging Rights at Sports Mecca.